Yes, yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah, I was a bit out of commission last week, but I'm much better today. The wife and I were both sick and caught the flu a bit. Not sure if you guys saw my videos or heard my videos that I made. Uh, was not there, but yeah, happy to be back and happy to have my voice back. Also, how was your guys' weekend? Was it good?
Yeah, quiet for a change, man. Yeah, no work, just relaxed. So I can't complain. But glad you're back, man.
Nice, nice. All right, guys. So I'll just quickly head into it. I won't waste too much of our time just to get into it and get started. Um, all right, so I have the news up here for us. And as we can see, we had no news today, but there was still, I believe, some decent ish volume today. Not the best, not the worst, but we had some movement, especially in the indexes today. Um, but yeah, and then tomorrow we have core retail sales coming out. This isn't as crazy as NFP or CPI for the rest of the week, but it could bring in some good volume for us, which would be nice. And the nice thing is that it is all at the same time, so 3:30 p.m. South African
Good
time.
evening.
Yeah, we can hear you now. How's it going, Ramiz?
Right. Can you hear me?
No, we can hear you.
I forgot again to channel yes VPNs again, thinking that I'm at home.
Oh, yeah, no. No, but it's good to have you here, man. How was your weekend?
Yeah. All good, your side?
No, all good. Can't complain. Can't complain. But yeah, I just went over the news quickly and I brought up the topic of today where we had some okay-ish volume. Wasn't the best, wasn't the worst, but there was some decent volume today on the open. So try to capitalize off of that. Tomorrow we have core retail sales at 3:30 p.m. We don't have anything else in terms of high volatility news for tomorrow. So I believe it could be a good trading day. But the market could be in anticipation of Wednesday and Friday. So on Wednesday, we have NFP coming out, and then we also have the unemployment rate coming out and average hourly earnings. Lucky for us, everything is at the same time, so we can expect some good volume and nothing being too crazy. But what I would like to see during these times is at least two of these events um, being positive or at least two of them being negative, right? The big one for me would be NFP. So if NFP, non-farm employment change, comes out positive and we have maybe the unemployment rate that's also positive for us, then that would obviously be good in terms of volume and the same the other way around, right? But let's say NFP comes out and is negative, but we have the unemployment rate being positive and the average hourly earnings also being positive. That's not too great because there's a lack of consistency there when it comes to the data, and traders would be less inclined to, want to trade their money on uncertain markets. Okay. And then on Thursday, we have unemployment claims, also not a big driver, but at times can be a big driver, especially in the US market. So, yeah, that would also be determined based on what NFP does, But when NFP comes out, people will already be expecting what the unemployment claims is going to look like. Okay. So that might already be priced in by Thursday. So Thursday, we might not see crazy moves, or we might just see some good volume on the open. Lucky for us, it's also just one high volatility news event, which is nice. And then crossing over to Friday, we have CPI also coming out. So this is a big one, especially in terms of inflation and yeah, those numbers for the U.S. economy. Um, in terms of inflation, we'll obviously be seeing what this new guy, I forget his name, what he says, and what we can expect. But yeah, we'll see if we have some good positive news for inflation. Also, we might see the dollar strengthening a lot over this week. Which is what I'm hoping for, and I think many other traders, especially when that rand to dollar exchange is looking a bit crazy at times. But yeah, that's really it in terms of news for this week. I'm expecting a really nice week, especially if Trump just keeps his yapper shut, because the news is looking beautiful, it's looking seamless, it's clean, no random times here and there. The only one that is really random is NFP being on Wednesday because it was postponed from last week Friday, right? But yeah, let's go into the charts, and let's quickly just unpack today's move before we check the overall bias and direction of the markets. So if we look at structure today, right, we had this 1 hour order block that was not invalidated before market open. So definitely a key area for us in terms of liquidity. Next, we also then had this high here, also a key area in terms of liquidity, that 1 hour order block that we had there. And then going down to the 5 and 15-minute time frames, we did not really see a clean sweep of these lows here, right? So as we can see, there was no order block close below this area, which is what we obviously would have liked to see for a decent entry at these lows to then ride price out to these highs, right? Unfortunately for us, that was not the case, and we only had a wick invalidation. And the thing with these wick invalidations is that they are a low probability, right? So whenever, wherever, if ever you see a wick invalidation, it normally shows you that there's some unfinished or unfinished business down here, or some untapped liquidity that the market did not um, touch, right? So yeah, um, even if we look at the 15-minute time frame, same thing there, right? Not too great in terms of structure, because there's a high likelihood that price could still come and take out these lows here. Okay, same with the 30-minute time frame, and the same with the 1 hour time frame, right? Not the best. Okay. However, where another entry could have been taken is this 1 hour close right here, right? Um, it wouldn't have been the best entry. It would still have been a lower probability trade. But for me, especially since it is Monday, right, and there's no news today, I didn't just want a move like this, right? So if someone entered here on that new 1 hour candle body open, it would have been a nice 1 to 2 risk reward trade. However, for me, I did not like this particular setup for this particular day, right? So in terms of context, I didn't like it. Okay. In terms of structure, also not the best, but would have been a lower probability trade. If I were to grade it, I would probably say it's about a C tier trade. Okay. But yeah, going back down to the 5-minute time frame and just unpacking the entry here, right? So we had this invalidation of the high, which is what I was looking at, okay, for a possible move lower also. However, Price did not, well, price did sweep the highs, right? But if we look at the candle structure, right, this candle structure here is very small, so it's very limited, right? This also gives you lower probability trades if you were to just enter here, right? So normally in well, in my cases, what I like to look for, if we only have a small candle body invalidation like this, is for there to be no fair value gap or no imbalance right here, okay? But because there was an imbalance, I waited for price to establish itself, and there you can see, boom, price closed out the imbalance, and then the next 5 minute candle opened, right? So after an imbalance like this, the price tapping into it, what you sometimes do see is price coming back and just testing this level again, okay? Now what I saw was that we received lots of volume on this 5 minute candle, all right, and price essentially broke past this previous 5 minute high, okay, which indicates that the market wants to continue. So we need to look for a continuation then, right? Why I say that the market wants to continue with this bullish run is if we look at the daily time frame, okay? I'll open the daily time frame for us and just check how it opened in terms of structure. Just refresh this thing, right? We have this bullish daily time frame order block right here, right? I see Salmin is also here. What's up, Salmin? I see Edison also joined us right now. Welcome, Edison. But yeah, Salmin, just for your sake also, my order blocks are completely different than what you might see anywhere else. Mine is very straightforward and simple. So from the furthest wick to the furthest candle body, and that gives you your order block, which is where you would find nice high probability setups in terms of structure, right? Now, because we had this daily order block being or already being created here from Thursday's close and Friday's close, and now Monday's open, right? We have, let me just delete this and redraw it in for us to make it a bit clearer, right? So there's our bullish order block in terms of our order block range, and here's our bearish order block, right, in terms of our range, right? Now if we look at the structure here, this bullish order block, and then check the distance of how far price needs to travel to the next point of liquidity. The next point of liquidity here at these highs are much closer than these ones here at the lows, right? That's 19,000 points there, right? Not great. And this is 8,000 points, right? So 8,000 points, much closer than the 19,000. And if we look at price in terms of our fib, if we draw it from the high to the low, the market had already tapped into this 78.6% fib level, okay? Already tapped into it here. We had some rejection off of that level right there, but we'll see it a bit better once we go down to the lower time frames. So let me go down to the 1 hour time frame, and here we can see that price had closed above the 78.6% fib, which gives us an indication that the market has now fulfilled this level, and the next high is this one up here that we are possibly looking to target, right? Price is now also already in this imbalance or fair value gap right here. So by tomorrow, this imbalance would have been closed, right? So there's no more liquidity in and around this area. So now where the next set of orders are going to lie are just above these highs here, right? And if we look at price in terms of structure, very, very close, right? There is still a possibility of price coming down and, closing out this imbalance here before it continues, but this is the next highest form or point of liquidity, okay, on the higher time frames, okay. But yeah, this is also going to be determined based on what news does for us, okay? And if Trump doesn't close his yapper, or if he opens it and just says some random things. If we look at the weekly structure as well, price has been very choppy, but still pretty bullish, right? So we haven't had a bearish weekly order block, okay? Let's just look at our previous weekly order block right there. And if we check in terms of price, this high has been invalidated, okay, with these wicks past it. Boom, boom. And now this candle here for this week also opened up pretty bullish, right? So there's our open, that's our high, that's our low. And if we close in and around this area for at least this week, then I'm projecting for us to, close above these highs by next week, hopefully, okay? Just in terms of probabilities and in terms of structure. So now, because price had already wicked past these levels and not created any form of structure here yet on the weekly time frame, I'm still very bullish, okay? Yeah, the same thing would then count for Nasdaq also. I know I've been sending a few more Nasdaq trades in the group, but if we look at the weekly chart on Nasdaq, it's not looking as clean, right? So on the Nasdaq now, we have this weekly order block or bearish order block right here, okay? If we now look at the lows down here, price had already invalidated these previous weekly order blocks, so we can't look at these as a point of structure anymore. It's only a point of reference, okay? We can only look back at it and see what price did in and around those levels, but the next form of liquidity would be in and around this weekly low right here, okay, down here. In terms of the fib level, let's just draw it from our high to the current weekly low, right? There's our order block. This is where price is currently floating around. Let's go to the daily time frame. There's no imbalance right here on the daily time frame. So if price comes to these levels, okay, in and around these daily highs, okay, the next point of interest, or where the next form of liquidity would be above this daily order block here, right? Right here. Let me just change the color a little. Right there, okay? Let's just go down to the 1 hour time frame and see if there's an imbalance right there. There actually is an imbalance, right? So when trading up into these levels or into these highs, I would be very, very careful for taking bullish trades. Let me remove this. So I'll remove the weekly order block. Now let me remove the fib. I'd be very, very careful taking additional bullish trades in and around this imbalance right here, right? So right now, this would be a target because there's lots of liquidity in and around this area above these highs and into this imbalance. But once price comes here, I would like to wait for structure to at least come to or closer to these highs, right? Because once price is in and around this daily order block, okay, on the daily time frame, price is floating in here and find structure here, then I would, take buys again to then target these daily highs and then these next set of daily highs, okay? Other than that, I wouldn't take anything here, okay? But yeah, that's really it in terms of US 500 and NAS 100. I am pretty bullish on US 500, but again, it depends on Trump and what he has in store for the dollar. But yeah, any questions, guys? Any concerns? Any stucks? Hey, what's up, Elvis? I see you in here also. Happy to see you, man. I see Elvis is actually typing. Mm, sorry to interrupt. I want to know, does the screen share? If the screen share doesn't show if you're late. Um, I don't know. Can you guys see my screen? You guys haven't said anything.
Oh, now I can see it.
Can you guys see it now? Oh my god. And
Yeah,
everyone is
but
just quiet.
I have a, sorry.
No, I said, and everyone is just quiet.
Oh, okay. And I have a question. I
Okay.
wanted to know, like, I was saying what? Yeah. Since we've been trading, we've been switching like markets and stuff. When we go into gold, we're also seeing as 100. So I wanted to know, are we gonna like switch from time to time, like just to see which currency or index is better, or you're gonna settle on one day? I don't know. I just wanted to know that so I can analyze like certain markets for the
Mm,
day, not just only US 500.
mm, mm.
Doesn't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. So, I mean, from what I've been sending was just the US 500, but as of late, and what I've told you guys was there wasn't really any setups happening on there, or the setups that you do get on there, they're pretty low probability, right? So, what I've
Yeah.
been trying to do is to try and send a few different setups also for you guys to follow. If you guys like it, I can obviously try and continue with that. So I've been sending NASDAQ, but I could likely try and send Euro also. But if I, try and keep tabs on more than two markets at the same time, it gets too messy for me also, then I would need to switch in and out way too often, and it doesn't get nice. Then I lose track of what I'm doing. So for now, I would say just keep an eye out on US 500 and NASDAQ. I'll just be trying to send those, right? The other Euro trades or Euro JPY trades, those I'll keep on the back end, right? When I trade London session maybe, because I need something where I can still trade and for it to still be, conducive to my trading. Because if I send too many things, it really gets too messy for me, guys. But what do you say? Are you guys still happy with the US 500 and the NASDAQ trades? Do you want me to look at something else for you guys? Any other pairs or instruments?
Hello, bro.
Hey, bro. How's it going, man?
You, I'm good, and you, bro?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Yeah.
So what's up?
Can we look at Euro USD? Can we look at Euro USD?
Do you want me to break it down now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, for sure, for sure. All right. So let me just delete this. I think that's from today, right? So if I look at EU, right, I'm gonna take it from the top. On EU, on the monthly time frame, our previous order blocks, right, is this one right here. Um, so we always look at the closest order block that was invalidated and the next one that needs to be invalidated, right? The only reason I marked out this one now is just to give us a point of reference to look at, but this can't be a point of structure anymore because if we look at price, it has now already invalidated this previous monthly order block high and it's already closed out this monthly imbalance that we see to the left. Okay, now wait, let me find the bullish order block first before we continue. This right here is the bullish monthly order block. Let me just make these smaller. All right, in terms of our monthly range, what I then like to do is to just measure price in terms of my fib. So if I take it from this monthly order block low to the current high in price, you can see that price is still a nice distance from the 78.6% fib down here, right? So in terms of structure, uh, I'm still bullish, right, on the monthly time frame. Now, what we also want to do is to always look at price in the opposite as well. I don't just like looking at price from one point of view. I like doing both. So, if ever the market grants me an opportunity in, well, in the other direction, then I'm ready for that as well, right? Now, if I'm taking this current monthly order block that hasn't been invalidated yet, I want to draw the fib from this current high, okay, to the furthest low relative to this order block, okay. So if we look at price, it can't be this low here, right? Because it doesn't fit this range. There is price outside of this range. Come on. There's a price outside of this range, right? So I can't look at that. If I look at this low, it would be the same thing. Okay, there's price outside of this range. See here? So I can't look at it, it's invalid. Now, the only valid low I can look at, that's the furthest point from this monthly order block here, is this low down here. Okay, this is the only low that hasn't been invalidated to the right of price. Okay, and it's the only low that will give us a proper range, sorry, in terms of price and its structure. Okay, so let me just draw in this monthly order block here, and I know this one might be a bit long because we're taking it from the monthly just to give you guys some perspective, right? Now, since we have our monthly order block range now, okay, this is the current monthly range that the market is trading in. If we look at the 78.6% fib, this will always be a key indicator for us in terms of what price has done and possibly wants to do next. Okay. Now, with all of the time frames that we look at the 78.6% fib, we check if there's an imbalance, right? So the fib is there, but there was no imbalance in and around the fib, okay? Which then prompted the market to go and seek for liquidity at a new point, okay, in terms of structure. The next point of liquidity was above this monthly order block high here, okay? If we look closely, there's a small order block that was invalidated by this candle, but
Yes,
the
bro.
next um, imbalance is right here, okay? So price had now closed out that imbalance right there,
Yes.
okay? Because that was the next form of liquidity for us, okay? Um,
Yes.
Now, if we look at our structure again in and around the 78.6% fib, we can see that price closed above it, right? Outside of the
Above it.
78.6% fib,
Yes.
okay? So that is already an
Yes, sir.
indication that there's untapped business up here and that the market is now outside of this range or outside of this fib range, right? Now, if the market closed outside of the 78.6% fib, the next point of interest or the next point of liquidity is this one up here, okay? So that forms our overall bias. Okay, I don't want to say it's uh, our bias because it's overall. Within this month, price can still, reject, come back, right? But overall, this is where price wants to head toward, okay? In terms of structure or in terms of price action also, okay? Now, that's just the monthly time frame, okay, and the monthly range that price is in. So now I want to then look at the weekly structure now that I already have an overall picture of where the month is, what it wants to do, where the next point of liquidity is, right, for this whole month. So since price has closed above the 78.6% fib, I'll just reiterate that again. Sorry, and since this low here is way too far for the monthly range, right, in terms of distance, again, if we look at price in terms of distance, this is 440 points, I'd say 400 points. All the way down here, we have 2,300 points, right? In terms of liquidity for the monthly time frame, this is way too far, okay? So these position traders, where are they going to have their next stop losses or their next, take profits or their next buy stops or sell stops? It's going to be at this point of interest here, right? And this is also much closer. So that's where volume wants to drive us, okay? Now, if I go down to the weekly time frame, now I want to find the closest weekly order block highs and lows, okay? All right. So now in terms of the weekly time frame, this is the closest bullish weekly order block, okay? And in terms of the weekly time frame, this is the closest bearish weekly order block, okay? Now, the order blocks are going to look a bit weird here and there, but we still look at the same things, right? Same concept. From the furthest wick, right, to the furthest candle body, right there. So I'll delete the monthly structures because remember, this right here is the monthly order block range, monthly fib, okay? This now is the weekly, okay? We want to go closer to where price currently is. I'll delete that. I'll delete this, okay? But I'll just put this horizontal ray there so we know where price ultimately wants to drive towards. I'll delete this and I'll delete this, right? So let me quickly zoom in. Okay, so like I said, we look at the same things: furthest wick to furthest candle body, right there, furthest wick to furthest candle body. That's where all our liquidity is going to reside, right? In terms of structure, again, we always want to look at our fibs when we find a range. So we want to take it from the furthest point of the order block to the furthest point relative to this order block. Okay. Now this might um, throw some of you guys off or confuse you, but we always just look at the closest low and the closest high from the order block in terms of the range, right? Right there. Currently, price is only sitting at the 50% level of this order block's high to the current low here. Okay. If we go down to the daily and maybe 1 hour time frame, we'll be able to see it a bit more clearly, right? I think I got a message here. Just open the chat. Guys, have to make myself absent. Sorry, have a great session. God bless. All good, Alvis. God bless, man. Have a good night. We'll catch you again next time. But yeah, like I said, we look at price here. Price is only 50% of the way in terms of this range. It still has some distance to go and reach the 78.6% fib, right? This area here, or the 78.6% fib, I always like to look at it as a magnet and it to pull price towards it. Okay. So yeah, there is still some distance for price to go and close out here. Okay. In terms of price in the opposite direction, let me go back to the weekly again, just so you guys know how I draw it. So I'll then draw it from this current low to the current high in price again, right? Where's the current high? It's this one and not this one. The current furthest high, okay? This is also a part that could confuse some of you guys who are new. But yeah, this is the current furthest high in price. And in terms of this range now, and I also want to see where the imbalances are within this range and see if price could drive toward that imbalance, right? So on the daily time frame, there's no imbalance in and around the 78.6% fib, but outside of it, okay, right here, there's a bit of an imbalance right here, okay? So if price decides to do something like this, okay, it could drive into the 78.6% fib like this, to go to an internal range high, okay, to an internal range low here, into this imbalance, closing back up outside of the 78.6% fib, and then continuing price on its bullish run, okay? Or this is now if price wicks into this imbalance, right? But if price closes with a candle body outside of this 78.6% fib, because remember, for this range, we have the 78.6% fib. If we get a daily candle close outside of this range in this imbalance, then the next point of interest could be down here, okay? So this is just for us to spot our bias and see where the closest points of liquidity are for price to drive toward, okay? Seeing all of these fibs might also throw you off a bit, but sorry, as long as you know this is an internal point of liquidity, here's an internal point of liquidity, this is external here, and this is external here, right? So those are your closest points of liquidity on the daily time frame and the weekly time frame that the market could drive itself to during this week or this week and next week. Okay, so those are the points that we look at. Now, in terms of the daily structure, all right, now we want to break it down even closer. I know this is going on a bit long, but just to give you guys some good context, we haven't done one of these deep breakdowns in a while. So now on the daily time frame, we want to do the same thing again. Look at the daily order block. Okay, there's the daily order block, the closest one, and here's the closest daily order block again. Okay, now I'll delete the weekly ones. So now, since we know where the weekly points of liquidity is and the weekly points of structure, and we still have our overall high right here on the monthly time frame, this blue that price wants to drive towards. Okay, we want to know the context behind it still. Let me delete that. I'll delete this weekly order block range also, and now this is our daily order block range. Okay, so for the daily order block range, we want to do the same thing, draw fibs. So from this high to the current furthest low, we have this low as the current furthest low, right? So this also fits in nicely with our order block range. If we go down to the 1 hour time frame, we now want to look for 1 hour imbalances again. Okay, let's see if there's an imbalance. There is no imbalance here. Let me zoom in. Remember, the blue is the 78.6% fib. There is no imbalance on the 1 hour time frame at the 78.6% fib, right? That's not good for us taking sells at this point, for us taking bearish trades, right? Because if price drives into these highs, there's no point of structure for price on the 1 hour time frame to turn around here, because there's no imbalance here. There might be on the lower time frames, but on the 1 hour time frame there's nothing. So price can't wick into these points here and reverse off of that, right? For price to do that, it would need to wick above this 1 hour order block high and then into this imbalance here, right, to the left. Now, if we look at price in terms of distance again, if price is already in and around this area before market open, okay, and it has already closed out this imbalance, if price has already completed that objective for the day, then the next point of interest would then be above these highs, because this would then be closest, right? And if price is already above these highs, the next point of interest, which is very close again, is above these order block highs again. Okay, so this is something that you need to keep in mind when it comes to time and when it comes to price, right? So if price is already in and around this imbalance before market open, next point of interest would be up here. Okay, but now let's say price is not at that imbalance yet and is still floating in and around this area right here before market open, right? What price could then do is sweep these lows on market open, right? Sweep that liquidity or close out those orders right there, and then drive price to this imbalance, right? Setting up for the next day to then possibly continue with this bullish run, okay? Or what it could do is wick lower, take out this imbalance, take out these orders, go and fill out this imbalance and then come back into the range for price to consolidate and then set up a move like this, where you sometimes see an expansion like this, right? So all in all, it's still consolidation, manipulation, distribution. From this point of interest, it's also consolidation, manipulation, distribution, right? And then from this point of interest again, consolidation, manipulation, distribution, okay? So if you look at it from both angles. All right. Now that is where price is for this week, right? So where I'm seeing price could go is into this 1 hour imbalance right here for the rest of the week, or maybe even for the rest of this session. So either down here, if price still wants to consolidate within this range, prepping for the rest of the week, or price could already, push higher, take out this high and wait for some structure to form to then set up to take out this high here, okay? And ultimately inch and inch and inch toward these highs, okay? So now I'm going to delete this, and then this is obviously the swing trading model. So let's just, the order block swing trading model. So let's quickly look at just the opening range for today and what price did today. I'll delete this. So in terms of today, right, we want to always find our 8 a.m. New York time candle. Here's 8 a.m. New York time, okay? We want to find our low right there, our 1 hour order block low, and we want to find our 1 hour order block high that was not invalidated yet before market open, right? So in terms of this range, there was no setup for me today. What I would have liked to see on EU is a sweep of these lows down here, boom, on market open, to invalidate this imbalance, not imbalance, sorry, this order block, and then come back into the range to then continue its run, right? What it could also have done was break these 1 hour lows, come into this imbalance here, and then set up for a decent trade, right? So that could have either been like a, what's this, a 1 to 2, 1 to 3, like a 1 to 3.3 risk to reward. That's if price came into this imbalance, but still broke these lows. Currently, no trade for me, right? Just in terms of mechanical structure, right? But overall, price is still bullish, and that's what we saw on the open today, okay? But there were no trading opportunities. Let's quickly look at maybe Friday, if there was something on Friday, so you guys can see. So I'll delete today's opening range. So on Friday, we had this 1 hour order block there that wasn't invalidated, and we had this one here, right? So just zooming in. All right, so price did not sweep the low on Friday, okay? But in terms of the overall bullish sentiment that we have, right, this also ties in with the weak dollar that we have, right? So if we go down to the 5-minute time frame, see if there might have been a possible entry there. On here, also not the best form of price action in terms of entry criteria. So here, even though the market is doing what I wanted to do, let's just check the 1 hour time frame again. Yeah, I would not have entered this. Maybe 15-minute. I wouldn't have entered here either, right? Because of this imbalance, price did not come and close this imbalance. So even though overall the bias is correct, structure was there, but price wasn't there, right? That's not what I like to see. Let's quickly look at Thursday and see if there was anything on the Thursday. Just very quickly, I know we are close to time. Okay. Alright, delete those. Okay, so very quickly again, Thursday. Let's look at the highs and lows. The closest 1 hour order block low was here. Closest 1 hour order block high that wasn't invalidated was here, right? Here we can see that price invalidated the highs right here. If we go down to the 5-minute and 15-minute time frames, let's see what price did. And there we go. There would have been an entry. I think this is actually one of the trades I caught last week. So here we had price invalidate these highs, right? But this here was a wick invalidation. Again, not something I like to see. So here I would still sit on my hands. We can then see that price form structure to come and take out this wick high, right? Price then came into these lows here. But since the overall bias is bullish, okay, and price did not, what's the word now? Create a bit of an imbalance with its price action here, right? This 5-minute did not create an imbalance. And what time was this also? This was just before 9 a.m. New York time, right? Here, what time is this? This is after the stock market open, right? So here you would then be able to see a bit better price action. I don't like taking trades, in the middle of those two sessions, right? Because there's usually a pickup in volume, okay? So right here, I think I was still waiting for price there. And then here, price then invalidated these highs again, came back into the range. And then on the close of this candle right here, we had a bit of an imbalance there, which is also what I like to see on the 5-minute time frame. Price closed with a candle body inside of the range, right? Which is also nice for me to see in terms of overall structure. I'll then also just quickly look at the daily and see how the daily was set up on that day. I think the daily was also pretty bearish. But yeah, there we have the bearish close in the range, stop loss just above those highs, targeting a 1 to 2 risk reward down here. Did price tap into it? Yes, right? I think I closed price here because of timing. I think I documented it in the group. You guys can just go and check again. So there, and I think I caught a London session trade here also in the morning. But I think I got stopped out at break even during London. Let me just unpack that and then we can look at it again. Alright, I think this London trade was a bit cleaner. So this was a London session and this was New York session, right? So same range but different. So on during London session, before I continue, the time that I like to look at London session is 3 a.m. New York time, right? That is the opening price that I like to look at, or the opening candle. Then I like to find the 1 hour order block low, which is down here again. That's 1 hour. And then the 1 hour order block high that I like to find was this one here, right? That wasn't invalidated just before 3 a.m. So same things, just different time. Okay. All right, so if we look at the 1 hour structure, we had this consolidation, we had manipulation, and then we had distribution, right? Taking us into New York, and then New York opened, and then consolidated, manipulated, and distributed. Same thing. On the 5 minute time frame, again, let me just go back. All right. So 5 minute, we had this invalidation of the highs here, right? With this wick, again, not something that I like to trade. I don't like just trading off of wicks because that gives you lower probability trades. Here we had a nice candle body invalidation of these lows. Okay, we had a nice bullish wick, which is also nice, that I like to see. Price then did not close into or inside of the range with this candle here, the 5 a.m. candle, but 5 minutes or 6 minutes past 5, this next 5 minute candle, it did close in the range. There was a small imbalance also created here. That price then closed out. If you look at the lower time frames, which I don't advise for you guys because it could get a bit noisy, right? Price created it there, was closed out. We had a nice 3 minute bullish order block there also, but let me go back to the 5, and then right here I entered on this candle. So you might be wondering why I did not enter on this candle here. Okay, because again, if we look at price in terms of structure, right, this candle here closing above this 5 minute order block here. Okay, let me just pull in this ray, right? This 5 minute candle closing above this 5 minute order block gives me an indication that okay, we don't have enough volume to push price back to these lows, right? So this gives me just a little bit of increased probability. And here you can also see price came and tapped this structure here, right? Boom, boom. All right. So these are the small things that I look at as opposed to just sweep back into the range, continue. This is one of those nitty-gritty things that I like to look at. Okay, so I then entered here for a 1 to 2 risk to reward. Not 1 to 2, can't remember. Let's see quick. That's why I entered. My stop was below this low. Target the previous highs. Yeah, that was a 1 to 3. Price moved up, came up here. I then moved my stop to break even or just above break even, and this wicked me out here. Price then, well, I then stepped away and price continued its run bullish up until New York session, and this was that next trade that I took lower, right? So yeah, same thing, just different. Yeah, that was a lot. But yeah, that's those were the trades, and that's how I would break down EU fully. Any questions? Salmin, did that answer your question also?
Thank you, Broski. It was phenomenal, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks. But yeah, guys, do you guys have any other questions? Any other concerns? In terms of structure or anything you just quickly want me to look at? I know it's 9, or just over 9, so just over our ending time. Let's see. I think I saw some.
I know, thorough as always. Thanks, John. I love it, man. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, guys. But yeah, I hope this session was nice for you guys. If you guys have any questions or concerns, you know where to get me. And yeah, have a good evening. Let's trade our best this week. I do expect a nice week since the news is looking so nice. and everything is at decent times. Let's just pray Trump keeps his mouth shut. All right. Have a good week, guys. All the best. Cheers for now.
Thanks, guys. Cheers on.
Bye.
Okay. Thank you.